sometimes look at maybe your colleagues or your friends or other family members of yours, and it looks as if they're just so sure of themselves and the path that they're on, and their life just seems so effortless, and they're moving towards whatever it is that they're wanting to. Yet for you, even though you may have a general idea of what is it that you want to be creating or experiencing or going to next, but yet it just seems so difficult to get there. And that there just always seems to be like something standing in the way, preventing you from getting to wherever it is that you're wanting to go. Hi, I'm Jacqueline, and welcome. We at Joyful Living Mindset are so excited that you're here because we believe that there's a great gift within you that's going to uplift humanity in some significant way. And we're here to help you navigate that journey and live your truth. So from my experience and my own personal journey and helping those of my clients, there's really three main reasons why we feel, or three main things that are standing in the way of our path, like being on our path, right? Getting to wherever it is that we're wanting to go. And the first is that we're taking on identities that overshadows our true self. So for instance, let me share with you my example. For the longest time growing up, especially as I entered adulthood, for many years into my adulthood and up until that point, I was always taking on this identity of being a dutiful daughter. I always wanted to do everything that my parents expected of me. I never wanted to disappoint them. That was like one of my goals in life, is that I am a dutiful daughter and never disappoint my parents. But what I was finding is that as I was advancing in my life as an adult, there were a lot of tension started to develop because what they're wanting of me and expecting of me was very much contradicting what my heart and soul was calling me forward towards. And I had to at some point realize that yes, I always love and respect my parents and always want them to be happy, but at some point I had to find the balance, and I had to find the courage actually within me to take a stand for myself and say, hey, even though this path may not make sense to you, and it may not be the one that you approve of me, but this is a path that I know in my hearts of heart, I know this is the path for me. So for instance, like one of the first times that I had to make that stance was when I married my husband, and married outside of my culture. My husband is not Vietnamese, he's not Asian at all, he's Canadian, and I was the first and only till this day to marry outside of my culture. And that was just such a huge ordeal for my parents and for my family. And for the longest time, that caused a lot of rift between us, because they just couldn't understand why I would make that decision, why I would go that path. But for me, it was the right decision for me. And I knew that it may not have even made sense, complete sense for me at the time. But then I knew in my soul, I knew that that is my path, and that it feels right for me, because being with my husband, like, he really allowed me to really expand my awareness. And really, actually, I have to thank him for introducing me to the personal development journey. And I was hooked since then. Like, he was the one that, and still is, really leading the charge in the personal development journey, always looking to improve on himself, improve his life, being very empowered in that sense. And he helped me, like he introduced me to that world, which was very foreign to me because I grown up as an Asian woman, an Asian girl, in a household, being the only girl in the family. I was always told what to do, right? I was really never thought or even encouraged to think for myself. And so, like, that has just absolutely been a blessing in disguise for me and even my family. And now they're starting to see how I'm able to bring that expanded awareness and knowledge and wisdom and integrate it back into my family and my culture as well. So that's the first, right? The second is that you are spending a lot of time and energy doing things that underutilizes your true gift. And sometimes this, what you spend a lot of your time and energy on, may not be a bad thing, may actually even be a good thing. So for instance, for me, I have always prided myself in being the kind of mother that spoils my son super rotten. Like, that is the one thing that my son knows, and there's not a shadow of doubt in his mind that his mother spoils him super rotten, and that it's actually one of the most favorite things I love to do in this whole entire world, ever since he was born, right? And I still do. I still love to spoil my son super rotten. Don't get me wrong, but what was happening was that, especially as I was transitioning and stepping into the space of being an entrepreneur and a business owner, I was wearing so many different hats, juggling so many different things, and constantly operating in the unknown and zone of uncertainty. And so I was finding that, you know, my time was getting less and less, but I was trying to do it all. And I was also finding that I was doing so much for my son that it also became a detriment, not just for me, but also for him as well, because I wasn't teaching him how to be self-sufficient, how to think for himself, how to be independent and learn things on his own, right? And so I really had to take a look at how do I balance? How do I balance wanting to still continue being that loving, nurturing mother for my son, but more in an empowering sense and guiding him into becoming the amazing young man that he is today, and not derail him from his development, right? And also to balance, for me to be able to have the space, the time, the resource, the energy, and the presence to be the CEO and the business leader and owner that I am in my business, to drive my business forward as well, to learn different skills and navigate this very rough terrain of entrepreneurship as well. So I really had to take a hard look at balancing. How do I balance doing things that fills me up on the inside, but also things that will also utilize my true gifts, right, of what I'm being called forward to do. And then the third is that you're pursuing things that compromises your true desires. So how this plays out is, for instance, back then, for instance, for me, I was climbing the corporate ladder. Like, that was my career goal, climbing the corporate ladder. And even though I didn't really enjoy the line of work that I was doing, it was, to me, it was really a means to support my family, right? Collecting that paycheck. And I just wanted that paycheck to get bigger and bigger and bigger, right? And the benefits that comes with the promotion and all of that. And then also, in addition to that, my husband and I back then, we were pursuing like side hustles of, for instance, investing in stocks or real estate or a side business, but none of those areas were really aligned with what it is that we really wanted. Like even the business that we did, it really wasn't truly aligned with what our true vision and purpose for wanting to have the business was. Investing in real estate and the stock market was truly another attempt to achieve more financial security and freedom and passive income, rather than, oh, we have a passion in learning about the stock market or the real estate world and whatnot. And so it was really consuming. So we were pursuing all these different things that really didn't align with our true desires, and it was consuming a lot of our time, our energy, our resources. It was stretching us thin, and in effect, and as a result of that, it really put a strain on our marriage and our relationship, our health and mental state of being, and all of that. So then that's really the impact. Like that's really the three ways in which the three things that are standing in our way, standing in our path of purpose, preventing us from moving forward and living the life that we truly want to be living, right? And the impact of that, right? As I shared earlier, right? You're taking on identities that overshadows your true self, and so you're not being authentic to who you are and having the courage to live in alignment with what it is that your soul is calling you forth to do, right? The second is you're spending a lot of time and energy on things that underutilize your true gifts, right? And sometimes we even hide behind like, oh, but I'm doing the right thing. We hide behind this mask of nobility, right? But I'm doing the right thing. I'm taking care of my spouse or my family, or in my case, my son, right? Or that I'm or the community or whatever it is, right? But sometimes we do that to the detriment of not just ourselves but to them, as well as the case I shared earlier with my son. And then the third is that we're pursuing things that compromises what our soul truly wants, our true desires, right? And it ends up stretching us thin and stressing us out and creating burnout, creating more stress, more anxiety, more just this fear of like, oh my gosh, can I do all this? This overwhelm and all of that. So those are the three ways that you're actually kind of standing in your own way, if you will, to where it is that you want to go. So I encourage you to take a look at those three areas. In what ways are you taking on identities that overshadows your true self? In what ways are you spending a lot of time, energy, and resources on things that underutilizes your true gifts? And in what ways are you pursuing things that compromises your true desires? And so we'll look at your true identity, your true self, your true gifts, and your true desires, right? Are you living in alignment with those three areas? And if not, what can you do about that? And what are you willing to do about that, so that those three things will start to dissolve, and then your path from where you are here today to where you want to be becomes a clearer path that you can move forward towards. So I hope that was helpful. Let me know in the comments if you have any questions or thoughts around this. I'd love to hear, and I'd love to support you further. But until then, thanks so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next episode. Bye for now.